Bernie Sanders released an insanely powerful ad that I have to show you. This is exactly the kind of economic populism that wins elections. Look.
At one time, this is what built the middle class during the Industrial Revolution. This area is in trouble, and it's up to us, the people, to fight back. I'm Chucky Dennison. I'm from Lake Milton, Ohio. This is my third plant I've seen close, and I do not plan to transfer again. I plan to stay here and fight back by organizing and transforming the political system from the ground up and reclaim the White House. Trump lied to Ohio. He hasn't done one thing to lift a finger. He came to this area and told people, do not sell your homes. I'm bringing the jobs back. And weeks after that is when they announced the plant closing.
Let me tell you folks in Ohio and in this area, don't sell your house.
A large American factory stopped production today after more than half a century. 1,600 workers at the General Motors plant in Lordstown, Ohio, are affected by this.
The plant is in Trumbull County, a county that voted for President Obama and then for President Trump.
It's not only devastating to the employees who work for that plant, but the families. It affects the whole entire area. Tax revenue, infrastructure, down to the schools. Even the little children in school, their best friends disappear because they're uprooted and have to move. The tire factories are gone, the steel mills are gone. This was all that this area had left. If you drive down our roads now, every one of them's got potholes. He came here and lied to these people. I didn't buy it, but many people did because they were hanging on to hope. They were hoping that he would do something, but he did the opposite. Trump gave General Motors $700 million in federal contracts. I mean, this is happening all over this nation with all kinds of corporations. Not only are you hurting workers, communities, but the children and future generations. And it needs to stop now.
Today I say to Donald Trump, you know, you are a really tough guy and you are prepared to shut down the federal government and deny hundreds of thousands of workers a paycheck. Well, let's see how tough you are. Tell General Motors today, no more federal contracts until they deal with Lordstown. Let's see how tough you are. Today, our message to General Motors and the other corporations is that you cannot continue to treat your employees with disdain and contempt. And if you are not a good and responsible corporate citizen, do not think that you will get federal contracts.
Bernie, we need you.
We do.
We need you. And we have your back. And I know you got ours. If we can get you elected, man, we're going to have the resources to transform America.
God damn, son. God damn, that was good. So Bernie went right to Lordstown, Ohio, where they just announced they're shutting down all these GM plants, and it's not just happening there, it's happening elsewhere too. But Bernie went right there, went right to the workers, and said, we're going to talk about this, and we're going to let everybody know what's going on. And Bernie's making this, you know, a cornerstone of his campaign. Think about how politically genius that is. But honestly, it's not just politically genius. It's also from a moral perspective, it's the right thing to do. But this is, what did I tell you guys all along? The reason Hillary Clinton lost the election is specifically because of the Rust Belt. The Rust Belt went against Hillary. She smugly thought like, oh, I got that area. Oh, do you? Because what happened? Trump, in the lead up to the election, went to the Rust Belt and kept hammering away. Oh my God, NAFTA's terrible. NAFTA's the worst. It's the worst trade deal in history. It ruined your wonderful towns and cities. And I'm going to fight back against that stuff. And I'm going to keep your jobs here. And I'm against the TPP. And I'm for the workers and all that. And it was a brilliant political move from Trump. But the reality is with Trump, he didn't fucking mean any of it. He was just trying to get elected. And Hillary did have a terrible record when it came to outsourcing and when it came to, jobs and so-called free trade. Bernie's record is awesome. Bernie's been railing against these trade deals forever. He voted against all the shitty trade deals that are for corporate elites. And so now, what's Bernie doing? Way out in advance of the election, he's already going to these places and campaigning in these places and meeting the workers and releasing these ads trying to fight back against the corrupt elites who are destroying the working class in this country. So he explains one of the policies there that would help fix this. help fix the deterioration of the middle of this country where people have had their lives uprooted and destroyed because of corruption and greedy corporate elites. He spoke about how, oh, you want to shut down the plant and outsource the jobs? Well, that's interesting. How about I take away your $700 million in federal contracts? Maybe you reconsider. Maybe you reconsider and you stay here. And if you stay here, then you'll get your $700 million in federal contracts. If you don't stay here, maybe those contracts go to a car manufacturer who's willing to stay here. Guys, see this. One of the most annoying myths about basically deindustrialization and outsourcing is that it's inevitable. Like, oh, what are you going to do, bro? It's just, this is the normal, trajectory of the economy. There's no way to really fight back against this. There's no way to really stop it. There's no way to really reverse these trends. That's nonsense. Think about how lazy of an argument that is to just fall back on like, this is the natural evolution and this is like what ends up happening and this is the standard hierarchy of importance. The managers at the top are always going to make the decision, and if the decision fucks over the workers, well, you shrug and say, what are you going to do? It is what it is. That's such lazy thinking. No, of course there are policy moves that we could take to fix it. Honestly, if they didn't make shitty policy moves in the first place, you wouldn't have Detroit looking like a fucking zombie apocalypse city at the moment. You wouldn't have the destruction of these places in the first place. If you had politicians who were willing to stand up to management and fight for the workers, they would have never, biased policies in favor of management and never rigged the system in favor of the wealthy owners. So that's one example that Bernie gave right there. Hey, I'll just take away your federal contracts if you want to outsource jobs and shut down the plant. That's fine. Then you'll make less money. You will make more money if you stay there. That's one thing you could do. Another thing you could do is mandate by law that you put workers on the board. If half the people on the board have to be workers, they're much less likely to make decisions that are going to hurt the workers. That's the way it works in Germany. Why not do that here? And then another thing you could do is you could have fines for outsourcing. You can incentivize them financially that, no, you want to stay here. We're going to make it worth your while to stay here. And then also the final point I'll make on this is Donald Trump's bill, while Trump did all the populist talk, Trump's bill incentivized outsourcing. So think about that. Mr. I'm against outsourcing, I'm going to fight for workers. His fucking tax bill incentivized outsourcing. And of course it was biased in favor of corporations and in favor of the top 1%. And so bottom line is, guys, Trump's fake populism dance is not going to work when he's up against a real populist. And then Trump has nowhere to go, so what's he going to default to? Calling him crazy Bernie, smearing him, attacking him for age and shit like that. And that's going to fall flat. It's because it's going to come across as mean-spirited. Now, it's one thing when Trump is mean-spirited and he's counterpunching. People don't dislike that as much, but Trump's going to have to be the one to go after Bernie first, not counterpunch. Go after him first on the nonsense issues like his age and like, oh, I think he's crazy. And that's not going to land, because what's Bernie going to do? All Bernie's going to do is hammer Trump over the head with policy substance, talk about Trump's failed record, but also say, here's the things we need to do, and I'm going to do these things. Bernie Sanders is Donald Trump's kryptonite. Bernie Sanders is Donald Trump's kryptonite. If the general election is Bernie Sanders versus Donald Trump, hear me now, quote me later, Bernie Sanders will win the election in a landslide. The media will say, I don't know, we think it's going to help Donald Trump that Bernie is the nominee because Bernie's too far left. That's the shit they're going to say. They're dead wrong. They couldn't be more wrong. According to the polls, the American people overwhelmingly love Bernie Sanders' platform. Also, the more he talks, the more his poll numbers go up. Why? Because he talks about helping the American people and doing right by them. So hear me now, quote me later. If it's Bernie versus Trump in the general, Bernie Sanders will win in a landslide. It won't even be close. The media will be shocked. We will not be shocked. We'll say, told you.